Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to M1 Racing and our live coverage of round 4 of the G-Force Racing Elite League. My name is Mark, and I'll be your host for the next hour or so, and thank you ever so much for joining us. Pete is with me, as usual, behind the scenes. He'll be monitoring the chat for us and also keeping an eye on the racing elsewhere on track that we can't bring you live on screen. And if you want to keep us company, please do so. You'll need to follow us on Twitch with a verified email, and then you should be able to talk to us in the chat box. So say hi, and it would be wonderful to talk to you. Now, we are one person down in the commentary box this week. We normally have Rio alongside me, helping us talk through the action as it happens. But this time, we've given Rio leave to drive for Red Bull for round 4 of the G-Force Racing Elite League. So Rio isn't here, but he is out on track. So if you want to keep an eye out for Rio, their driver ID is Baggysaurus, so going to stand out well for us to follow them around. And we're going to jump on board with Rio in a little while as we see how they get on. This is Rio's favourite track, so we're hoping he goes well. And I've already told him if he finishes in the points, there's a nailed-on driver of the day for Baggysaurus, but we'll see how that one pans out. Best of luck to Baggysaurus and the rest of our drivers for round 4. Now, if you missed last week's race in Portugal, we had 2 of them. We had the sprint race and a feature race. Sprint race results are coming up on your screen now, and M1 Righty was the victor in the sprint with SHS, their teammate, coming in second, and Joe Bean in third for Mercedes. And all that really happened in the second race was for that top 3 to be slightly switched around. So a better result for Joe, picking up some good points for Mercedes last week, and the SHS coming in third. And there was a really terrific battle between those two, Joe Bean and SHS, throughout last week in Portugal. If you'd like to go back and see those races, you can find them on our Twitch stream and on our YouTube channel. Links are on our Twitch channel, so feel free to click on those after today's race. Sit back, relax, and enjoy all the racing from Portugal last week. What that meant for driver standings is that SHS, it continues to extend their lead at the top, and their teammate M1 Righty is going with them. SHS there on 72, M1 Righty on 49. And Joe Bean now in third spot in the driver's standings after 3 rounds on 34. And David T up there with 27 points, and then SS7 with 22. And that strong lead for SHS and for M1 Righty means that Alpine lead the way, a commanding early lead for Alpine. 121 points from their nearest challengers, Mercedes on 56, and then Haas in third on 42. But as I say, there's an awful long way to go here in Season 2 of the G-Force Racing Elite League, with 8 more rounds left to go after today. So there's plenty of racing still ahead of us. Nothing is signed, sealed or delivered just yet. All right, so we've got drivers out on track. We are in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia for round 4 of the G-Force Racing Elite League. We're going to jump on board with some drivers here, and we'll get a ride round a very fast, very tight track. So I'm going to look out for, I am looking out for Baggysaurus. Baggysaurus is in the pits. So Pete, I'm going to ask you just to keep an eye on when Baggy comes out. We do want to give them the honour of taking us round on a hot lap, but we're going to find somewhere else in the meantime. And we're going to go down to our championship leader, SHS here. Let us bring up the track map for us. And Pete is telling me that Baggy may actually be in spectator mode. So I'm hoping that they are actually going to get out on track. I could have built them up for nothing at all. So hopefully they will be out. SHS is now on a hot lap, coming down to turn 4 here. You see how close the walls are to our drivers. They really are risking everything on this track. One false move and you will quickly into the wall, and that is the end potentially of your qualifying and almost certainly your race. We do see some early quick times getting in. MVR J Repo with 126.148 setting the early pace. So J Repo, we know, is really strong everywhere they go, and it's very good to have them back with us. They missed Portugal last week, so it's very good that they're back with us this week. SHS is quick. I'm just looking at the timing screens here. They are doing very well. They've got a long way to go to catch J Repo's time at 126.148. Early days for all of our drivers. Will be getting used to the track. Some of them will have been practicing quite a bit this week, others not so much. SHS coming into the very last corner 27. So if you hear me get confused with my corner numbers this week, folks, please forgive me. There's an awful lot of them around Jeddah. So 127.028 for SHS. They are a little bit off the pace from MVR and Joe Bean, but SHS currently in third spot. I do see Simple Soleil in the chat. Welcome, Simple Soleil. Very good to have you here. And we do want to see Alex do well here. Hopefully they've been practicing. They've got an early qualifying time of 128.123. Peter's telling me actually that was possibly done on mediums indeed. So both SS7 and Alex1 on medium tyres there. Setting a sighter lap, but they're already on the board. Alex coming out now on a brand new set of soft tyres. Just got my eye on where Baggy is. They are still in the pit, so hopefully going to be out there before the end of qualifying. If you've been with us before and you're wondering who Jay is, that is indeed Lost from previous races. Last season they were Jason and Never and many other things. So fortunately SS7 was kind enough to tell me who Jay was, but we do have some other drivers out there that we don't think we have met before. The first of those is Sam Ross 10 from driving for Alfa Romeo today, so we very much welcome them to G-Force Racing. They'd have set an early time of 128.623. I'm going to go up to David T, and David T also drives for Haas. Now last week you may remember that Mr. Hannes is David T's regular teammate, so we've got Sam Ross 10 standing in for Mr. Hannes this week. We did have a bit of fun with Mr. Hannes last week for their repeated resetting to track in previous races. We had a little detector on the stream last week just to keep an eye on them, perhaps causing the same offence again. Mr. Hannes isn't with us this week, so we've turned that particular detector off, but it's ready to go for when Mr. Hannes is back. So I'm going to ride on board with David T as he comes into turn 1 and 2, this really tricky chicane at the very end of the start-finish straight. We get on the power again, and David has hit that wall, and that is the end of qualifying for David. I think he did tell me earlier in the week that was a real risk for him. He was really struggling to pick that corner. Right, so David, I apologise for being on board as you did that, but you can see how these walls here in Jeddah are absolutely lethal. One mistake and that is your race over. Mac T, we've switched to, they're just going around on their slightly older soft tyres. They set an earlier time, 127.580. We do have some other drivers out. Ace Pilot is on a hot lap here, yet to set a time. We don't get time to spend, we don't spend an awful lot of time with Ace. They are typically towards the back of the field in the races themselves. But Ace always puts in a really strong effort. They are here every week as well, help run the league. So well done to Ace for being out there. They were beyond track limits there, so their lap time won't count either. Another new driver for us. I see David T in the chat. Thank you, David. I hope I didn't put you off, but yeah, you did mention to me in our Discord chat earlier in the week that one of those corners was particularly tricky. Well, hopefully you've got a time on the board, 127.293, so you may well be starting in the top 10. Keep it on the track in the race itself, and I'm sure you'll go well here today. I'm with NRG Panzerotto, brand new driver again for G-Force Racing. It's wonderful to have them and start filling out this Alpha Tauri team. We're on board with them here as we're coming down towards the back of... Oh, no, we're coming into the first of the main hairpins here. You'll see some drivers, and that it happens all the time, and I can attest to that, having done that myself many times. You come out of that turn 13, the back end just wants to step out, and you have to be ever so careful on the throttle. So that is the end of NRG Panzerotto's time. I seem to be picking drivers as they make mistakes here today, folks, so my apologies to those drivers if I'm putting them off. We are here with M1 Righty, who is on a hot lap. Coming around the very last hairpin, turn 27, we'll dance with those walls. I think M1 Righty is coming in, so not happy for M1 Righty at the moment. The winner of both the sprint and feature race last week. And Pete's rightly whispered in my ear, Baggysaurus is out on an outlap, so we're going to stay with Baggy, and we will give him the honour of a good, hopefully they will keep it on the track and set us a good time for Red Bull. So M1 Righty struggling to set a good time. We are 6.5 minutes left of qualifying. They only get 18 minutes, folks, to do qualifying here. We don't have Q1, Q2 and Q3 this week, although we will perhaps at a couple of points during the season. There will be full qualifying, and certainly will be at the final race in Abu Dhabi, round 12. But we only have 18 minutes, a single qualifying session. Baggysaurus is going to get, hopefully, their first time. We're going to ride on board with Baggy, or Rio as we know him from the commentary box, into turn 1 here, braking around just before 50-metre board. You'll see many of our drivers trying to stay away from the raised green and white curbs. If the cars get both wheels over those and straddle those curbs, then the car gets unsettled very quickly and will send the car off into the barriers and the wall. As Rio attempts that, then you can see Rio's Baggy has demonstrated that for us really well. If you get the car over those curbs, it just points the car in a straight line. There's nothing the driver can do about it, and that, unfortunately for Baggy, is the end of that qualifying lap. Hopefully they'll save some tyres. MVR J Repo with a 126.052, so improving on their already very fast qualifying time. Very close to the 125s. A 126 dead round here is a very good lap indeed. Joe Bean has got provisional second for Mercedes, so continuing their good form from Portugal last week with a 126.438. SHS is back out, so they're going to try and beat that 127.028 that they currently have, and also look to get closer to Joe Bean and J Repo. SS7 fourth currently with a 127.046. So Mercedes, both Mercedes drivers having a pretty decent qualifying session. Emelecki is back, and that is great news for us. Emelecki is a brilliant driver, very fast, likes a low downforce setting, and that's showing in qualifying 127.159 in fifth place. And Jay continuing some good performances recently in qualifying, in sixth for McLaren, and Wan's also very strong. So Baggysaurus into the pits. We're going to go back to SHS as they are on a hot lap, pretty much level with their previous time through sector 1. So they're looking to try and close down essentially an entire second to J Repo. So they've got a lot of work to do here as we're going through sector 2. And now we've got this long sequence of very shallow curves, which the drivers will try to make as straight as possible. Then we've got one of the best corners on the track coming up. A brief lift, drop a couple of gears through there, and now we get into our second DRS zone. DRS wide open, long sweeping curve between turns 25 and 26. Down to 27, heavy braking, swing the car around, get close in on the apex, back on the accelerator. SHS staying well clear, but they are not happy, as you can see. So the Alpine drivers not having the best of days so far. A lot of our drivers leaving it to the last minute. Down to M1 Righty, who is still trying to set a time here. So back on the accelerator. We go through this first sequence of sweeping corners, so you can take it as straight as they can through these. Minimise the track distance. Drop down to 6th. back on the accelerator. M1 seeing those tyres ride over the top of those white and green curbs there, but don't want to straddle them. Nice and tight to both walls. Round turn 27. Back on the accelerator. M1 not really having much to play with on the exit of that particular corner. Really tight to the line there. And M1 sets the time 126.545. Goes ahead of their teammate into third place. So a good lap for M1 righty. We have just two drivers without a lap time at this point. So Bagisaurus and Panzerotto for Red Bull and AlphaTauri will need to get a time in. We've got 2 minutes left to go. Our drivers have got to get round and across that finish line before the checker flag comes down in order for their final lap to count. So it's going to be very, very close. Simple Solar in the chat. Yeah, I think I might need to keep a little bit more quiet tonight. Otherwise, some of the drivers are going to be complaining at me. We've got Wands here on a new hot lap. They've got a 127.250 right now. So they're going to be looking to improve on that for them and for Aston Martin. Wands got their first ever podium, I think it is, for G-Force Racing just a couple of weeks ago in Australia. I can't believe how happy I think we were in the commentary box for Wands. They have worked ever so hard and practiced ever so hard. They are 10th up in Sector 1, so improving here for Wands and trying to close that gap down to Jay and Emeleki ahead of them. The 2 tenths will move them up into potentially 4th or 5th, 5th or 6th spot on the starting grid here. Wands is certainly settling down into being quite a smooth driver. They've done well, mainly because they don't pick up many track limit penalties during races, and that has really helped them move up the finishing order at the end of a race. So Wands going well here. And Peter's telling me Bagisaurus is out on a hot lap, so we do hope they get that in and nailed. It's going to get busy here as we see cars pulling over on the left-hand side. Wands through turn 27. Playing chicken with the wall on the right-hand side. Accelerator flat to the floor. DRS opens. We come over the finish line. Improves by 3 tenths. Good drive, Wands. Moves them up into 4th place. 126.936. Nicely done, Wands. So that's a good result for them. There will be other drivers looking to push Wands back down pretty quickly. Going down to SS7 here. They're coming through Sector 1. MVRJ Repo has retired from the session, so they're happy with a 126.052. I wouldn't blame them. They're 4 tenths clear of Joe Bean. Joe also out on a hot lap right now. They are slightly up in Sector 1, so they will need to get 3 more tenths at least in order to leapfrog MVR. Bagisaurus is over the line with a 129.558 as we see SS7 touch the wall there, and we'll see a lot of drivers do that. The risk is that you pick up some awful damage, but it looks okay. SS7 still going. That would have probably shaved a tenth or two off of their time. Indeed, they're pretty much level, SS7, with their previous qualifying time. They were improving slightly in Sector 1, but have lost that time through Sector 2. They will pick up a slipstream here from that car that's got out of the way. That will be Ace Pilot or El Alex. I can't work out exactly which one. So SS7 now coming over the line, trying to improve on their 127.046. They do by 3 tenths, 126.750. SS7 back up into 4th. So good qualifying from Mercedes here. NRG Panzerotto, they've saved the best for last. They have moved up into that 4th spot. So 126.622, whether they were sandbagging or just trying to work out the track and get used to it again. Very good qualifying time from the AlphaTauri driver there. So congratulations to them. And that is the end of qualifying for us, folks. And that is the grid that we will have for the start of round 4 here in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So some new drivers up towards the front end of the grid with Panzerotto. Good qualifying from Joe Bean, M1 righty, and SS7 and Wands. Not so good from our championship leader, SHS. So are we going to get a different victor this week? If you've been with us on previous race days, let us know who you think's going to win this one. I would normally ask Rio that question at this point, but he's not here. He's going to be out on track. So J Repo is in pole position. Joe Bean alongside them in second. M1 Righty and our new driver Panzerotto in third and fourth. SS7 alongside Wands, fifth and sixth. SHS alongside Mac T. Emelecki alongside Jay on the fifth row there. David T alongside Spicy Nuts, and then M Dorling alongside L Alex 1. That is our top 14. If I look at my other screen, which you can't see, I'll see if we can work out who the other drivers are. We've got the new driver for Haas in 15th, as an Alfa Romeo in 16th, Red Bull of Baggy Source in 17th, and Ace Pilot in 18th spot. So we've got a busy grid this week. So my thanks to all the drivers that have been able to turn up and race. See Baggy's comment in the chat, wasn't a great lap, but a good starter. Well, you're on the grid, Rio. Keep it facing forwards, and we wish you well in this race. See if you can pick up some points for Red Bull. All right, we are entirely biased here today, folks. We are not normally, but we're going to be cheering on Baggysaurus during today's race. So we're just waiting for the drivers to come out and line up on the grid. We don't have a formation lap in the G-Force Racing Leagues. When we see the drivers on the grid, we will have 5 red lights and we will go racing. A reminder of where these drivers stand. So we've got SHS, currently our championship leader, but starting in 7th on the grid today. M1 Righty in 2nd is their next closest challenger, but Joe Bean is 2nd on the grid today. So Joe and SS7 both qualified well. They'll be looking to move up through the standings as quickly as they can. We saw David T struggle a little bit in qualifying. We have all the drivers lined up on the grid. 5 lights are on. All right, folks, let's go racing. J Repo's going to lead them away. Looked like a good start there from Joe Bede. Indeed, Joe has got ahead of MVR. So MVR J Repo. So that moves Joe straight up into the lead of this race. And J Repo under all sorts of pressure from the Alpine of M1 Righty behind them. So Joe Bean has got away very, very quickly. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. Peter's told me there's a big crash here. I'm not surprised through that chicane at the end of the start-finish straight. There's an awful lot of cars to get through there very, very quickly. It looks as though that yellow flag has cleared, so we're not going to get a safety car. I think we can expect to see a number of safety cars this week. There's just nowhere for these cars to go when they do crash. But SS7 being passed by SHS there as well. So not a great start for the Mercedes driver, SS7. The SHS moving up behind their teammate, M1 Righty, pretty quickly. So minimising the damage from perhaps not a great qualifying session. But SS7 is hanging on the back of SHS. This is where I get all my acronyms mixed up. So Wands here trying to close down also on the Mercedes driver. Ever so close here in the slipstreams that these cars generate around this incredibly fast track. It is the second fastest track on the F1 calendar. Only Monza has a higher average speed. So an average speed around here of 250 kilometers an hour. Simple Solite is doing Rio's job for me this week. Thank you. Keep the chat coming. Alex up 4 places, and this is the problem. I've only got one set of eyes. Pete helps out with that as well, but Rio does a great job. So good moves from El Alex. Let's give them a moment down here. We do see El Alex now having moved up past Sam Ross in the in the Haas there. So El Alex going well in the early stages of this race. Joe Bean has already pulled out over a second from MVR J Repo, so they'll be outside the range of DRS as we see Emelecki in the Aston Martin going very wide through there. We'll see an awful lot of drivers on that part of the track which they don't want to be on, as these 4 cars are being, essentially 3 cars being dragged around by Obo, who is now 2.5 seconds back from NRG Panzerotto. So Panzerotto having lost out a little bit from the start. They qualified well, but have dropped back into 7th. Now, one of the reasons that may be is tyres. So I'm going to bring that up for us to take a look at. And we've got a real rainbow of tyre choices this week. So Joe Bean is out there on the medium tyres. That has allowed them, in the early stages at least, to pull away from MVR, but MVR is looking to close that gap down, and MVR and M1 Righty both having moved on. I should go back. SS7 has just got past SHS, so SS7 on some soft tyres. There's going to be going 3 wide into the chicane here. SS7 is held on to that, and good driving by all those drivers. That's an awful lot of cars to try and get through there together. So SS7 in the Mercedes holds on to 4th place, and they're looking to make the best use of these soft tyres early on. And it's interesting this week to see SS7 on a slightly different strategy to their teammate Joe Bean. So a split strategy for the Mercedes team. And as I've said that, SS7 unfortunately had a moment going through, I think the turns around 8 and 9 there. And now they're being swallowed up by Wands and the AlphaTauri of Panzerotto. So it's all happening here. You can see just one mistake from a driver, and they are off. Painful watching for Mr. Hannes, who is in the chat. And I think, Mr. Hannes, if you were out there today and were off track, I think you'd be in the wall. So no danger of resetting this week, but we very much hope to have you back very, very soon. And I know David will want you back as well. But Sam Ross, the reserve driver for Haas, doing well so far in 12th place for Haas and still going. David T has really struggled at the start of this race. They are down in 16th, clearly after a bit of a tough qualifying. We are here with SHS leading the way from SS7, Wands and NRG Panzerotto. Obo having dropped back a little bit from this gap, as Panzerotto is going to make a move round the outside of Wands. They slot in between the Alpine and the Aston Martin, and they are through. So a nice move from the AlphaTauri there. SS7 is holding off SHS. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. Peter, I don't know if you know who that might be. I think looks like it might be Williams. Yeah, it is Ace Pite in the Williams. So they are just recovering from that. That yellow flag has cleared. We've got some more yellow flags in Sector 1. That Turn 1, Turn 2 complex is, with so many drivers going through there, is going to cause us to look at the yellow flags numerous times. SS7 and SHS having a great battle here for 4th and 5th. SHS coming through on those medium tyres, which will start to have an awful lot more grip than their soft runners. So SHS will look to try and pull away if they can, but SS7 will now have the advantage of DRS. So DRS will be enabled on lap 4. It was probably enabled last lap. Indeed, we've got SS7 now with the DRS looking to make a move into that corner. Decides to step back from that moment. They will get DRS again, but now the AlphaTauri behind will also have DRS. So it's going to get very, very busy into turn 27. As we've got the helicopter view here, SS7 going on the inside of turn 27. Well, needs to leave space for SHS. Good driving by the two of those. And now the AlphaTauri will be thinking about a move down and perhaps take both of these drivers into turn 1 indeed. Great move by Panzerotto. 2 drivers in one move. Moves up into 4th place. Returns to where they started at the beginning of this race. Very close battle between these 4 drivers. We do want to move up just briefly. We've got M1 Righty, MVR, J-Repo. They are battling it out. That is helping Joe Bean at least not be under too much pressure from the drivers behind them. M1 is keeping J-Repo busy in their mirrors. But Joe Bean has not been able to scamper away, and MVR has closed that gap down. It will be interesting to see the strategies these front runners employ. Some will be hoping for safety cars to improve their strategies. Others will just be hoping for this to go as long as possible. Particularly those hard runners, I expect, will be very happy if we have no safety cars here under the lights in Saudi Arabia. We've got 25 laps of this race. We are on lap 5 of those 25, so a long way to go. Nothing decided yet. I'm dropping down to Panzerotto and SHS. SHS putting the AlphaTauri driver under some pressure, trying to find a way past here. Not able to make a move just at the moment, but they've got the outside and they have got past. So we can see these positions changing regularly. SS7 is staying with them on those softer tyres, but those softer tyres will be feeling the heat at this particular point. So they will be hoping for a safety car or something similar in the earlier stages of this race so they can have a cheap pit stop on those soft tyres. we have lost the hat of Sam Ross, which is a real shame. For a new driver to be with us, we do like them to see if they can make it to the end of the race, and that's really unfortunate for Sam. So thank you for being with us this week. I do hope you return next week and pick up a reserve spot with one of the teams and come and join us next week. But thanks for turning out today. I'm very sorry to lose you so early on. M1 Righty has moved up into second place, so now M1 is picking up the pace. We'll have to go after Joe pretty quickly. We'll see how far they can take these hard tyres. They'll definitely take them well beyond half distance. It's really how long they think they can go before they go onto the mediums or softs. These drivers will need to make one pit stop to go onto a different compound of tyres. So we will see which ones the hard runners go on to. I suspect they're hoping for soft tyres at the end of the race where they will be absolutely rapid. But M1 really has closed up on Joe Bean, and maybe those medium tyres already giving up. These street circuits, which Jeddah is, are notorious for being much harder on tyre wear, and that seems to be playing out for Joe here with the Alpine. Manages to go around the outside, takes a very wide line, has to, in order to give Joe space. We've lost Baggysaurus. That is the news of today. That's a real shame. Rio has unfortunately not been able to keep going. So Rio might come and join us here on the commentary stream, which would be great to at least hear his experience firsthand rather than us guessing. But very disappointing for Baggysaurus and for us in the commentary box. But well done for giving it a go, Rio, and maybe we'll speak to you very shortly. Baggy's telling us in the chat, I'm driving like Mr. Bean. Fair enough. A bit more practice, I think, Baggies, but well done for giving it a go. Too early on turn 3, he says. And that you won't be the first one to have made that mistake, as we saw from David T, indeed, during qualifying. So M1 is leading the race from Joe Bean. MVRJ Repo in third. Then there's a gap of about 5 seconds back to SHS, and the battle between them, NRG, Panzerotto, SS7 and Wands. Then we get a bit of a gap back, although that gap is closing up. So Simple Solar, I don't know if you've been monitoring this too, but El Alex now up into 9th and does appear to be closing the gap on M Dorling. M Dorling also going well here. They had a good race in Portugal. The feature race was our collective driver of the day last week. So brilliant drive from them last week in Portugal and keeping that strong performance going. So M Dorling hoping to finish in the points again for Alfa Romeo. El Alex sandwiching the two Alfa Romeos. Obo, M Dorling's teammate, in 10th place, and we do see those softs certainly starting to tail off. Those soft runners are dropping back through the field. So that is playing into the hands of the medium and the hard runners at the moment, barring any safety cars or major incidents. But even Peter's saying, looking at the lap times, those mediums are starting to feel the heat also. So hard runners doing well at this moment in the race. So timing of pit stops is going to be ever crucial. We're on lap 8 of 25. Jay has picked up a 3-second time penalty. That will be for track limits. So it's pretty hard to go beyond track limits around Saudi Arabia. Beyond track limits is the wall. But there are a handful of places where that can happen, and that's been the case for Jay. So they've picked up 3 seconds. Our only driver with a 3-second penalty at this particular moment. Peter's telling me that Rio might actually be in the commentary box. So I'm just going to make sure we've got the Discord audio on. And if Rio can hear us, he can chime in whenever he's ready. And we'll have a chat with Rio in just a moment. But we are, on just started lap 9. El Alex we're with in 9th place at the moment for Williams. Obo in 10th. Emeleki after quite strong qualifying down there in 11th place, but on hard tyres. So they'll be looking to take those as far as they can. Spicy Nuts down there in 12th. They had mixed experience in Portugal last week, as just being overtaken here by Mac T into turn 1. So not as good a performance from them so far. So we've got a long way to go. David T, after some incredible performances in the early part of the season, maybe Jeddah is not their track, but they really can't hook it up at the moment round here. Lost, we saw with their penalty earlier. And then Ace Pilot going here in 16th, but importantly, still going. And there's a chance you finish in the top 10. There are points for you. So we're up to the front again with M1 Righty leading Joe Bean from J Repo. This is the battle for places on the podium. If we ride on board here with Joe, we'll get a sense of how close they can get to M1 as we go around this faster part of the circuit. We see M1 really holding tight inside line through there, the shortest line, but also be quite dirty part of the track now at this point in the race. So Joe Bean will have DRS as they go down the start-finish straight, just past the activation point for DRS. And indeed, we've come to Joe at a great time to go down the inside into turn 1. We've got a bit of a break up on the stream there, folks, so apologies for that. Joe is through on M1 Righty and retakes the lead. So these medium tyres not going off so quickly for Joe, and that moves them into the lead, puts M1 down into second, but it's allowed MVR J Repo to move move much closer to M1 as a result of that battle between the Alpine and the Mercedes. We see Mr. Hannes in the Twitch chat. Thank you for that information. Yeah, so potentially David being taken out in turn 4, and he was quick in practice. We know that from, I think, the chats earlier in the week. Unfortunately, couldn't make it work in qualifying, but was still in a decent starting place on the grid. But unfortunately for them, struggling now down in 14th place, but still a long way to go. We're not halfway yet in this race. I don't think anyone has stopped. I will just bring up. No, so we've got Jay has been in and gone on to hards, Peter's telling me, and Ace Pilot has been in, but nobody else at this point. So we will need to start keeping an eye out for those changes. 3-second penalty for Mac T and a 3-second penalty for Jay. So those times will be added on for our drivers at the end of the race. No one else with penalties. Joe Bean is in. So Joe Bean is the first of the front runners to pit. They'll be getting off of those mediums. And will they go on to hards or will they go on to a slightly different... No, they're on to hards. So Joe will be taking these to the very end of the race. Now Joe will potentially have a bit of a pace advantage for a couple of laps on those brand new hard tyres. And perhaps they can stretch a bit of an advantage as long as there's not too much traffic for them over we see the Ferrari there, Mac T getting a little bit sideways. This is the risk for Joe. They've come out in to a bit of a pack of cars here, currently behind the McLaren of Spicy Nuts. So Joe doesn't want to get held up behind these. In order to make this strategy work, they need to get past Spicy as quickly as possible. Joe has managed to do that, so that's worked out for them. So now hopefully they can pull away and try and build a bit of a pace advantage so that they essentially leapfrog or extend their lead over M1 and MVR for when those drivers stop in a little while. Now, it's quite, I guess, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. So, Joe Bean on track is 10th, but M1 and J Repo out in first and second, but have yet to pit. Rio, I think you're with us. Are you there?
Yep.
Welcome back. So, how was it for you?
It was good. My game crashed when I got into qualifying the first time, so got back and took control of the car. But on my outlap, on the lap after my outlap, I went off at, I believe it was turn 6. I'm pretty sure. I think you guys might have seen that one up there.
Yeah.
In the commentary box.
Yeah, we just caught it.
And then I had to pit again, and then it was only 4 minutes remaining, and then it just follows outlap and then qualifying lap, and then the qualifying lap itself wasn't that great.
Well, it was a lot of pressure to put on you, considering you don't race with these folks very often at all. So I admire you for giving it a go. And Wands has DNF'd, Rio. So Well, we've immediately
Oh
got
no,
someone
that's
to
gonna
talk.
be a sad. Yeah.
That is really unfortunate. I mean, from the drivers that you would obviously seen the qualifying times come in, and the drivers at close quarters out on track. Um, who do you think are the ones we really need to look out for? I guess at the front it's pretty much a given. But from anything surprise you from qualifying, in terms of where some of our drivers started the race from?
I was gonna say the new driver, Energy Panzerotto, because he's pretty quick and it's his first race, so he might be one to look out for. And also the usual M. Dorling and Obo in fifth and sixth.
And your sixth sense, Rio, is working well because both NRG Panzerotto and SHS are in to the pits for new tyres, and we were wondering what Panzerotto was going to do because they didn't set a time literally until the last second, and then they suddenly appeared in fourth spot. So they've definitely got some pace. They're on to some new hard tyres. What tyres did you start on, Rio?
I started on the mediums because they had two options: softs to mediums, and then mediums for the rest of the race, or mediums and the hards, and then the hards for the rest of the race. So I just went the second option because I know that those softs and mediums would have run out really, really quickly.
Yeah, there were a handful of drivers that went out onto softs very early. SS7 was one of those. I'm forgetting off the top of my head who all the others were. We've got the Arthur Alpha, the Panzerotto. He has, that driver's gone very wide through there. So Panzerotto not enjoying these new hard tyres at the moment. We've got a ghosting. I think that's an Ace pilot being lapped. So Ace is having another bit of a struggle here this week. So being lapped by a handful of cars here. But that has put Panzerotto down into 10th, struggling to get those hard tyres up to temperature. And were you finding those tyres going off really quickly in the early stages?
I could definitely feel it. It was going off. They were going off really, really quickly. I could tell. Yeah, you can just tell because especially around turn, the same bit where I went off the first time. That's where they get off the most.
Now I wonder if something has happened to J Repo. They are just coming in to the pits. Indeed, NVR J Repo has retired. I don't know if none of us picked that up at all, unless Pete's got any extra information. But no, he's telling me no. So something occurred affecting J Repo's race. Rio, I don't know if you saw anything from your feed.
No, I just saw he retired and then disappeared, and then that was it. It might have been a connection issue, you know.
Yeah, it may well be because J Repo's coming back out again. So they are back out.
Oh, and Obo's just gone to the wall.
Oh, we've lost Obo as well. So lots happening for us here, folks. Drivers dropping like flies, it would seem at the moment. We've lost Obo, J Repo, Wands, Rio, because we're obviously just talking to him, and Sam Ross. So 5 drivers out, just a halfway point in this race. Ace Pilot playing the long game again is still there. They're going to be moving up into 13th place. So let's run through the order on quite a mixed up session at this point. Now I'm going to bring up the pit stops so you can see who has been in and who has not. So M1 Righty is in front on track. M. Dorling is moved up into second at this point, but neither of those drivers have yet stopped. Joe Bean in third, who has stopped. So Joe is probably feeling pretty strong. Would really love a safety car about now, I expect. Emma Leckie in fourth, has yet to stop. SHS, championship leader, in fifth. SS7 in sixth. NRG Panzerotto in seventh, after having a bit of a moment coming out on those new hard tyres. David T has yet to stop in eighth at the moment. L Alex in ninth. Spicy Nuts in 10th. Jay in 11th. Mac T in 12th, and shortly Ace Pilot, as we see there, goes into 13th place. So a really mixed up grid. I can only imagine either some of our drivers are just struggling to get the tyres up to temperature, or it got very, very busy and congested in one part of the track, and that took a few of our drivers out. But you know only too well round here, just one mistake and it can be all over.
Yeah, yeah, that's really true for this track because in the time trial, I in that in the same corner that I went off again, I didn't lift because usually like if it's not a really hot qualifying lap, I just lift. But I didn't lift, and then the same thing happened. Although except I crashed, and it is. I saw a lot of drivers doing that at the start since I was at the back, just in front of Ace Pilot. So many drivers went off into the first and second corners from the start. It was really entertaining to watch.
I bet from your point of view as well, although I'd probably had my heart in my mouth trying to avoid all of that. What we saw as Rio was talking there is that M. Dorling, who was in second place, has gone into the pits, as indeed did M1 Righty. So that has given us a new leader of this race, Joe Bean. 5 seconds now clear of M1 Righty. And so Rio, that strategy of going into the pits early for Joe Bean, getting onto those hard tyres. They started on mediums. That's really paid dividends for Joe. They've got a pretty decent gap now to M1, and they are, they're going to take some catching.
Yeah, Joe Bean. I was wondering why we was pitting so early. But I said to myself, I think he might just be doing the genius move of pitting earlier and then getting onto those tires and then getting up and then eventually winning the race, which I think might what he be doing right now because M1 right is already four seconds behind him. So yeah.
That gap is coming down. I mean, it's if the M1 has gained half a second on that lap, but there isn't long now. We've got 9 laps left to go, so these hard tyres will certainly see them to the end of this race. It really depends what pace M1 has in that Alpine. SHS has moved up into third, so that strong Alpine team still stands to pick up some very good points from today's race. But NRG Panzerotto has moved up into fourth. SS7 for Mercedes now in fifth. M. Dorling has rejoined in sixth, so continuing to gain places. And Rio, I don't know if you picked up on this, but El Alex, who started quite way down on the grid, now legitimately in seventh place on the same number of stops as everyone else. They do have a time penalty, but a pretty good day so far for El Alex, it seems.
Yeah, I don't think I saw El Alex when when I started. I think I probably saw the back of him, but I actually saw him in the cockpit when I was driving. I saw him. I think he might have been one of the drivers that went off at the start and just went straight on. But no, yeah, it's a good race for him. And also, I've noticed that Jay has crashed, or DNF'd at least.
Yeah, we lost Jay. Rio, if you're confused, we were at the start, but SS7 clarified it for us. Jay is lost, Jason is never. So a new change of identity for Jay this week. Yeah, unfortunately we have lost them. So one of the McLarens gone as well. So Ace Pilot inherits 12th place. Now winners here in positions-wise, definitely Panzerotto, M. Dorling and El Alex at this point making up, certainly M. Dorling and El Alex making up 7 places. New fastest lap for M1 Righty. Pete was telling me that M. Dorling is going very well also. So Joe's gap over, an advantage over M1 has shrunk. It's down to 1.5 seconds. So that gap to M1 has been eaten up very, very rapidly. M1's got an awful lot of pace, Rio. I don't know if they're burning out those medium tyres a bit too rapidly, but they've certainly got the pace over Joe at the moment.
Yeah, M1 Righty will catch up to Joe because even though Joe's on long-lasting hards and he probably expects them not to, go off as much, but they most likely will if he's trying to avoid M1 Righty. So, the faster you go, the more harder you go, the more chewed up your tires get. So I think M1 Righty will have a go on him at some point.
And Obo's rightly saying in the chat, keep your eye on Dorling. I think you're absolutely right, Obo. We are going to go. And indeed, M. Dorling passed SS7. I wish I'd gone there just a second earlier. So M. Dorling on soft tyres has lit them up very, very quickly. We'll need to try and nurse those a little bit through to the end of the race. But M. Dorling has got a fire lit under them, moves up into 5th place. We do have a yellow flag in Sector 2. That is... And MacT has DNF'd. So we have lost the Ferrari. Both Ferraris out of round 4 here in Jeddah. So other drivers are going to get advantage from that as well. Ace Pilot moving up into 11th place. That strategy of just keeping it on the track is paying dividends for them. SS7 looking to go down the inside of M. Dorling into turn 1. M. Dorling holds on to that, and that's a nice defence from them. Certainly those soft tyres will have an awful lot more grip. M. Dorling, I'm just going to see if we can see the times. Actually, the Haas of David T seems to be going well, and who indeed has gone on to soft tyres as well. So some of our drivers, so many different strategies out here. Rio, would you fancy holding on to soft tyres here for about 8 or 9 laps?
Probably not, because at the end of those 8 or 9 laps, the chance of you spinning out is a lot more likely than you think. Because at corners like that one that SS7 just went around, I nearly spun at that because you have to be very, very careful with your throttle input. But yeah, I probably couldn't do 8 laps on soft sprint here.
Obo's telling us in the chat it did manage 13 on softs the other day, and they felt okay. And with these lighter fuel loads at the end of the race, that's gonna help them quite simply. So it won't wear these tyres as much. They are M. Dorling 3.5 seconds back from NRG Panzerotto at this point. Joe Bean is not getting dropped by M1 righty at the moment, so 1.5 seconds back. There's 5 laps after this one to go, so it really depends how long these medium tyres will hang on for. But if Obo's guidance is anything to go by, M1 may be on exactly the right strategy. M. Dorling is now nearly down to 3 seconds to NRG Panzerotto, and NRG has left us as well, so M. Dorling straight up into 4th place. So this track, Rio, is claiming an awful lot of victims here today.
I knew it was almost like it was coming. I could definitely feel some of the top dudes getting out, which NRG just got out there. I think if it might finish like this, Ace Pilot 11th, and then the rest of the drivers. And it's very, very rare that you get a finish with more than half the grid out.
Yeah. This is a real surprise, actually, and with this group I am a little bit, well, actually very surprised that is the case. And Pete's rightly said Ace Pilot is now in the points. Both Williams are in the points. We're with El Alex right now. They are 4 and just under 4 seconds back from SS7. SS7 does have a penalty, but so does El Alex. Spicy Nuts, let's bring up those penalties because they may play a part. We come to the end here. So I've gone the wrong way, folks. Apologies for that. Yeah, so penalties, 3 seconds for SS7, 5 seconds for El Alex. So Spicy Nuts has their eye on that 6th place. They are only 5 seconds just over back from El Alex. So El Alex needs to get a bit of a move on, try and stretch out that gap slightly more. But Spicy Nuts is seeing some bigger points available to them. They are the only ones with penalties at this point in time. We haven't spent any time with them today at all, so we will go down to Emeleki. Very quiet race for them, Rio, but they're still going as we'd expect from Emeleki. But down there in 9th, I don't think the street track of Jeddah is quite their cup of tea.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing Emeleki in the last couple of races. Probably because I'm more used to seeing him in McLaren. But yeah, Emeleki's probably just like you just made a mistake there. He's probably like more of the lower drivers like Ace Pilot. It's not his track, and I could definitely tell that because he is making a lot of mistakes, probably because of a lot of throttle input on some of the big corners.
I'm seeing in the drivers chat, which you won't see on Twitch, folks, but I'm pretty sure this is Panzerotto. Unfortunately, I don't think he was very happy with their DNF. We don't know why what happened there, whether it was just a mistake by the driver or something else went on, but I could tell from their comment in the drivers chat that they're not happy one way or another. Emeleki is now on the back of Spicy Nuts. We have joined them at a very good time. Emeleki is down the inside. very nicely into turn 13 there. So the Aston Martin moving up into 7th. And trying to pick up some more points for Aston Martin here today. We spent a lot of time with David T last week in Portugal because he just drove ever so well. They are down in 9th at the moment on those soft tyres. Again, they've kept it on the track, so there are points here for the Haas team and for David, but I'm sure basically not his track here today, as well as Mr. Hannes was telling us earlier, potentially a bit of an issue, a bit of an incident earlier on in the race, which is why David's a bit further down. We've seen him more recently. But as Pete's rightly said to me, he's not giving it up, and that's absolutely right. And the same could be said here of Ace Pilot. They are here in 10th, the last points-paying position here today. Last year we had points for every finisher. This year it's only the top 10, so our drivers have to work so much harder to make sure that they score those points, and consistency is paying off for them. We haven't spent much time recently at the front because the gaps have really spread out a little bit, Rio. M1 has stretched their lead now to 4.5 seconds from Joe Bean, but it doesn't look as though SHS can close up on Joe. Do you think it's going to finish this way?
I think it probably will finish this way because SHS and Joe, like I said, like I said earlier, they probably, there's a lot less of a chance of them getting anywhere near M1 because he's on mediums, only still young mediums, and he's taking care of them quite well. So yeah, I think it probably will finish this way.
I've dropped down to the battle between Emeleki and Spicy Nut, so Spicy has not let Emeleki go. The gap between Emeleki and El Alex is down to 3.5 seconds, and bear in mind El Alex has that 5-second penalty, so Emeleki's going to be leapfrogging El Alex, as is Spicy Nuts. So El Alex at the moment is going to be dropping down into 8th place, and Emeleki and Spicy moving up into 6th and 7th respectively. We haven't spent much time with SS7 either. They, I think they've just hit the wall as they came out of where was on the turn 13 there. So SS7 not having the best of days, but in 5th place they will probably take that round here. But M Dorling looks to be continuing their good form from last week in Portugal. Pete's just said pacey in my ears as well. I think they've certainly finding their feet round here very, very well, and going to store some more good points for the Alfa Romeo team and indeed themselves in the Drivers' Championship. We're on lap 24 of 25, the penultimate race of penultimate lap of round 4 of G-Force Racing Elite League. SHS, our current leader in the championship, down there in 3rd, but their teammate M1 Righty, who won both the feature and the sprint race last week, is leading this one here in Saudi Arabia. Joe Bean, who came 2nd in the feature race last week, is up into 2nd there, 4.5 seconds back, and then SHS nearly 10 seconds back. M Dorling, don't think they're going to be overhauling that 9-second gap to. Oh, I'm just being told we've got Spicy and Emeleki back at it here. These two drivers know each other very well, and Emeleki's spun. On that is Emeleki out. DNF for Emeleki. We just saw it happening. I tried to get down to Emeleki as it was happening. Emeleki spins, hits the wall. Very close battle between Spicy and Emeleki, and Spicy comes out of that one in 7th place, but it will be 6th once the time penalties are applied. Shame to see Emeleki lose it. We were with them at the time that happened. So M Dorling's pace now dropping off a little bit from SHS, 8 laps in. Let's go up to M1, who has pretty much nailed their strategy here round the Corniche circuit here in Jeddah. They went out on those hard tyres, managed to nurse them far enough in, and now they are coming round on the final lap of this race. Rio, I'm going to ask you this question now, as I think we pretty much know where our driver's going to finish. From your experience today and what you've seen after joining us here in the commentary box, who would your driver of the day be?
Probably just straight up M1 Righty, because he's made little errors. He's done all the laps and qualifying without without making any errors like hitting the wall, and he's also been really really fast around the laps as well. So it's just straight up M1 mode for me.
I think Pete's agreed with you there, Rio, and I don't think I can disagree with you. They've got their strategy bang on, really made no mistakes. They were patient when they were under that early pressure from Joe Bean, but they pretty much got their strategy absolutely spot on, and they then had the pace to come around and move up into first place. It was a close call for me with Joe and also M. Dorling, because I think M. Dorling's got their strategy pretty well nailed here today, and fourth for them. So M1 Righty comes over to take the victory at round 4 of G-Force Racing Elite League here in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Congratulations to M1. Joe Beam finishes in second for Mercedes, another second place 2 weeks in a row for Joe, so congratulations to them. SHS, the other Alpine driver, our championship leader, comes over in third place. M. Dorling comes over in fourth. Brilliant drive from M. Dorling. 44 for them and for Alfa Romeo. Congratulations to them. Brilliant drive. SS7 is going to come over in fifth place. Then the first of the Williams drivers, El Alex, in sixth place. Congratulations, El Alex. Spicy Nuts moves ahead of them because of the time penalty, so El Alex finishes in seventh. We're waiting for David T here, who actually looks as though they might lap Ace Pilot in the process. They're getting a nice tow from them for sure as we come round the back of the circuit. So this will be David T lapping Ace Pilot. They're going to finish in 8th place, and Ace Pilot might be thinking, I was just going to try at least stop David from lapping me. He should really get out of the way. David might be a bit understanding of that, as David is going to lead the Williams over the line. So David finishing in 8th spot for Haas, and Ace Pilot finishes in 9th. And that is the finishing order, a much shorter finishing order, Rio, than I was anticipating. Only 9 drivers finishing, but I know we said this track would eat up tyres. I think it's eating up some of our drivers as well.
Yeah, I think we'll probably only ever get that type of finish with that amount of finished drivers and amount of DNF drivers, because yeah, you never ever want to see that on a track. I think it happened in the real world F1 one time, but yeah, no, we'll probably never ever get that again.
I'd be very surprised, Rio. Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing in the chat, actually, David T is telling us he's got the fastest lap, so maybe it was worth sticking it out to the end, except the lower down finishing position, but you get an extra point for fastest lap. Indeed, we see it there, a 128.443 for David T. David will get an extra point. So our final race results for Jeddah. M1 Righty for Alpine is our victor. Joe Bean in second for Mercedes. SHS in third for Alpine. M. Dorling in fourth. I say, brilliant drive. 13 grid advance for them. Very good drive. SS7 in fifth for Mercedes. Spicy Nuts in sixth for McLaren. L. Alex for Williams in seventh. David T in eighth for Haas. Ace Pilot in ninth was our finishing order. So many DNFs in that race. We lost at least half the field there. Emeleki, Panzerotto, Mac T, J, Obo, J Repo, and many others, including Rio. I'd hate to remind you, I think you were out there at one point as well, but well done for giving it a go. What did you prefer from today, being in the car or being in here in the commentary box?
Not to hurt you guys in any way, but probably being in the car, because it's been a very long time since I've been racing in this league at all. But yeah, no, it was really fun out there. Even though I crashed, it was still really fun to get back into it.
We wanted you to be out on track, and I said it was a nailed-on drive of the day if you finished in the points. And had you stayed on track, you'd have been in the points today. But anyway, that's the way it goes. But really well done. And if you ever want to do that again, don't feel as though you need to be here. If you want to be out there racing, do go for it. Any other standout moments for you today, Rio, from the racing that we saw? There was a lot of battles going on, but anything surprise you?
Probably what was it? M1 Righty, Joe Bean, and J Repo battle just after the start. It was quite entertaining to watch when I did crash and spectate.
I didn't mean to remind you of the crash. It's okay.
It's fine.
So yeah, that was interesting, and it was really strategy that played out in the end that meant that M1 Righty took the victory, as well as obviously being a very fast driver and getting that strategy just right. Okay, folks, where are we next week? That was round 4, and that was Rio's favourite track. Well, next week we're at my favourite track. We are in Belgium at Spa for round 5. Round 5 of the GeForce Racing Elite League. This is the one I can't wait for every single season, both in this league and in the real world. So if you're like me and you like Spa, you like those fast corners, you like long circuits, you like unpredictable weather, come and join us next week for round 5 in Belgium. Emeleki's home track, I believe. We'll have a special place on the commentary stream for special mention for Emeleki next week. We know they will be looking forward to that race as well. So my thanks to Rio. Thanks for coming back in and joining us after being out there on track. My thanks to Pete, as always, for being in my ear, keeping me guided on everything that I'm missing. To all our drivers for giving us another great round of racing with the GeForce Racing Elite League. And most of all, to you all for watching with us here on M1 Racing. Come and join us again next week. We'll be live 8 p.m. UK time, and we'll take you through all of the action from GeForce Racing Elite League from Belgium. Until then, have a wonderful week, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.